Hi everybody, I'm Reverend Patti Ricotta. And in times like this, when there's a pandemic raging around the world, do you sometimes ask yourself the question, where is God? Maybe your faith is wavering a little bit and you're wondering if God really loves us as much as you hoped he did. Or even worse, maybe you're questioning whether God is as powerful as you want him to be. Maybe you have some variation of a question like, if there is an all-loving, all-powerful God, why isn't he stopping this virus now? Our verse of the day and the passage that it's a part of may help us understand a little bit about where God is, and it can show us what we can do to make things better, faster, with God's help. Isaiah teaches us where God is, maybe even especially during a pandemic, by using if-then scenarios. In an if-then clause, God promises, he promises that if we will do our part, then he will do his part. In fact, it appears that God has set up the world in such a way that he allows us to release him to do the things that he wants to do anyway. And all we have to do is engage our hearts in loving people in the way that he wants us to love them, and then behaving obediently towards that end. But we have no reason to expect God to do his part if we're not doing our own. When my kids were little, they would come to me on Fridays and ask for their allowance. But sometimes I had to say, honey, I'm sorry, you didn't do your chores. So how can you expect me to give you your allowance? And their answer would be, because you love me unconditionally. You should give me my allowance even if I didn't do what you asked in order to prove that you love me. Well, I had to teach my children that discipline is a very important part of showing how much I love my children and requiring their obedience. As we look at this passage, we can ask ourselves a couple of questions. First, am I doing my if part so that God can do his then part? And second, what can I do, or what more can I do to treat other human beings the way God expects me to? As I read this passage, listen for the if-then clauses. This is from Isaiah 58, starting at verse 5 and going to verse 9. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast? A day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the kind of fast I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice, to untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free, and to break every yoke. Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor homeless with shelter, to clothe those in need, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? If you do that, then your light will break forth like the dawn. Then your healing will come quickly. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call on the Lord, and he will answer. Then, when you cry for help, he will say, here I am. You may be wondering where God is in this pandemic, but as I study this passage, I begin to think maybe God is wondering, where are you? Where am I? Let's take some time and prayerfully ask God what we can do to show the kind of love to everyone that he expects from all of us.